Chapter 1: The Profit Motive in Mental Health Care. Have you ever pondered whether our mental health system is driven more by profit than by the genuine desire to help those who are struggling? This is a question we're going to delve into today, exploring both sides of this complex issue. On one hand, there are those who argue that the mental health system is indeed designed to profit from those who are suffering. They point to the high cost of therapy sessions, the expensive medications, and the often out-of-reach costs of residential treatment centers. This perspective suggests that the system is structured in such a way that the professionals and pharmaceutical companies within it can benefit financially from the illness of others. It's a harsh view, but one that can seem all too realistic when faced with the daunting costs of mental health care. Moreover, critics also argue that there's a tendency to overdiagnose in order to prescribe more medications, hence creating a larger market for pharmaceutical companies. They question whether the system is more interested in creating customers than in healing patients. Chapter 2: The Need for Fair Compensation. On the flip side, we have those who contend that the mental health system, like any other part of the healthcare industry, needs funds to operate. They argue that professionals in this field have spent years in education, accumulating student loans, and they deserve fair compensation for their expertise. The same applies to pharmaceutical companies that invest millions in research and development to produce effective medications. Furthermore, proponents of the current system argue that the high cost of mental health care is not a sign of a profit-driven industry, but instead a reflection of the complex, nuanced, and often long-term nature of mental health treatment. They assert that mental health care is a specialized field that requires highly trained professionals and, as such, comes with a higher price tag. Chapter 3: Access to Mental Health Care. However, regardless of which side of the argument you lean towards, one truth remains clear: mental health care is expensive, and this often makes it inaccessible to many who desperately need it. If we are to ensure that everyone has access to the help they need, changes must be made. To summarize, critics of the mental health system argue that it is overly profit-driven, with high costs for therapy and medication, and a tendency to overdiagnose. On the other hand, supporters contend that these high costs are necessary due to the specialized nature of mental health care and the need for fair compensation for professionals in the field. Ultimately, the question of whether the mental health system is profit-driven is a complex one, with valid points made on both sides. It's a debate that encourages us to critically examine the system we have in place and consider how it can be improved. After all, the goal should always be to provide the best possible care for those who are struggling with their mental health.